Go.
Hello, Craft Questers, and welcome to our episode on social media etiquette. Today with us, we have our regular panel. So we'll go around the table in a second. I am Maria Tureaud, and I am an editor, a YA writer, an adult writer also, a blogger, and general creative writing enthusiast. We do have a disclaimer today. Justine is a couple days post-surgery, so she might be a little crazy, loopy, or maybe even an oof or two in pain. And we appreciate her being on here today. So we will go straight to Justine. Introduce yourself.
The idea of crazy, loopy-er than I already am. Yeah, so I am Justine Manzano. I am a YA writer. I am an editor. I am a blogger. I'm a big-time reader, and that's pretty much all of that. So, and you know, editor for Craft Quest, which you guys know because you're watching. So, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Manzano. I'm a YA writer. I'm an editor. I'm an intern at the Corte Sierra Literary Agency. I'm also a blogger and a reader and do way too many things that make my head spin around, but I like it all the same. Go ahead, Ari.
I am just as crazy as Megan. I do a little bit of everything. I am a writer. I am a blogger at Bookish Valhalla, a editor at CraftQuest, an editor at CraftQuest, and a full-time lit student and a book eater. And I just do way too many things, but I love it. So.
It's funny because I actually forgot to say I'm also an editor for RevPit this year, and we are 1 week out, everybody. So make sure that you have all those queries polished up and you get on the Revise and Resub website, and please enter because it's awesome. Alrighty, so today's episode, social media etiquette. We're going to talk a little bit about what we mean by that. And maybe some of the things, the faux pas that we've seen on social media. We'll also talk a little bit about the best social media platforms for your writing career, whether it is a networking that you're getting on social media for, or if it is to try and market your indie pub book. So we're going to start off with a couple points here. Auto DMs, sending links, and flirting. So these are really big red flags when it comes to social media etiquette. So how about we start off with Megan? What are your takes on these?
Okay, there we go. I had trouble unmuting my thing. Okay, so there is very, very limited results to doing any number of those things. I remember when I joined Twitter, I used to get a lot of auto DMs. I didn't know who to follow yet, and I was still kind of building my own brand and my own social media platform, which is fine. But I would say almost for every like 3 people I followed, 1 would auto DM, and the amount of times I clicked on those links were 0. It's kind of intrusive. It's invasive. It's kind of in your face in a way that you necessarily don't want. And when it comes to writing, I feel like one of the biggest ways to market your book and, you know, get your messages out there is being social. And if you are just auto DMing everyone and spamming them with your links and stuff, that's not really being social. That's not building a message or representation of you. It's being like, hey, I know this cool feature and I'm going to send you 8 messages. So that doesn't work. And the same thing goes with links. Like, it's one thing if you've had a conversation with someone, or maybe you met them at a conference and they're like, hey, let's, like, you know, link up on Twitter and then I'll send you my stuff. That's completely different. That is a warranted, permission granted, you know, thing to send your books or your links or whatever you want. Just following someone and then throwing everything to DMs is not a good practice. And when it comes to flirting, if you guys want to flirt on Twitter and you are all consensual, by all means, go for it. But if you follow someone and you think that the way to get somewhere is by flirting, probably not a good idea. There's a reason why my DMs are semi-private, because a lot of people decide that they want to flirt, which, like, not interested. And that's not a way to market anything. And it's not a way to send a good message to people in the industry, people you want to get to know, any kind of event you want to go to, because people remember you as that flirting person or the auto DMer, and they don't know anything about you other than you've probably creeped them out. So those are my views on that.
So auto DMs specifically drive me insane, because Twitter to me is a place for meeting other authors, meeting other people with my interests. I go on there not because I necessarily want to buy books. Now, I will buy books from people who have, who are published, who I know, that I get to know solely on Twitter. I mean, let's be real. Aside from Megan, I met Maria and Ari on Twitter, and we've become very close. We talk every day. So, it's not to say that you can absolutely build a relationship with people and then be in their DMs and talk about your work. And, that's acceptable. But auto DMs are basically like, hey, what's up? Like, to the guy that you just passed on the street who you happen to be in the same place as. Hey. Yeah, it's just not like, it kills the point of Twitter, and it makes you're just a number at first. And you have to have interaction. You have to talk to people. You have to, discuss different things about about what you're interested in to start to get to that point where you want to, when you want to buy their book. Like, it just doesn't happen. The other thing is, I mean, quite frankly, and this is going to sound like probably a little snobby, but I don't know you yet, and I've got a big TBR list. I mean, it's dumb how big my TBR list is. And I will add you if I know that I want to see what's coming out from your brain, like but I'm not going to add you, and I'm not going to spend money on your book because I followed you. That's not, or you followed me. Like, that's not going to get anywhere with me. So that's one thing. The other thing is flirting. First of all, do not flirt with agents for any reason. Editors, for any reason. That's just, you do not walk into a job, go to your potential, or a job interview, go to your potential boss and say, you look really pretty in your profile picture. No, just no, like, do not do it. It's totally unprofessional. It reveals how little you know about the industry. It's such a bad take. Just don't. And also, just generally in social media altogether, like, because, it depends on how you're using social media. Some people are using social media more socially. Some people are using it more networking, business. I use my social media a little of both. I'm friendly, but I'm also, I network. I will talk to you, but I don't want to be flirted with at all. I'm happily married, and you don't know me well enough to flirt with me yet. Even, like, it puts me off big time. And most people who flirt with me, unless it's like a quick little cute, like, comment and nothing creepy, get blocked quick. It totally makes me uncomfortable. So, since you don't know who you're dealing with in any situation, and even if you mean it in a genuine, like, you're just trying to be sweet or funny or whatever, if it can be construed as flirting, try to pull it back until you know the person better, because it just could totally throw them off of you and just make them like, no. Okay, moving on. Someone take it before I keep talking.
Gotta hit my unmute button. All right, so as you guys were talking, I had to write some stuff down. So yeah, I personally view Twitter more as a community, but as Justine said, it is used for more than that. Some people use it for like a professional profile or networking, or even strictly engaging in a business-like fashion. But for me, it's community. So when I get auto DMs, nothing about that says community to me. Second would be like whether or not I'm interested in seeing other works. Usually I will go on Twitter and follow all the authors that I like and try not to stalk them. But it's when I follow you and you send an automatic link into my inbox, and as Justine says, I don't know you. That may sound harsh, but I don't know you, and I don't know your work, and you could easily get, just post a tweet about it or something, and maybe it'll come across my feed. But sending it to me just makes me feel like a number. It makes me feel like I'm just kind of supposed to buy your stuff because now we're best friends, but we're not because I don't know you. I think bottom line is that sending auto DMs is just annoying. When I see them, I don't even read them. Sometimes the wording of them is kind of aggressive. Like, hey, here's my link. Buy this now or you'll regret it. I probably won't regret it. So it's really important to understand how you word your auto DMs is probably putting people off. Just don't have them. It's far more genuine to write a message to someone after speaking to them. Understand what they're looking for on Twitter, not what you're looking for, but what they're looking for on Twitter, so that if later on you do want to share your work with them, you have to create that bond with them, relationship of some sort, and you have an idea of how to actually speak to that person. You can't just chuck a link at them like you're throwing a dog a bone. It doesn't work like that. Let's see. And like I said, it just makes people feel like they're a number, but it also makes that relationship kind of one-sided. It just comes off like maybe you're not really interested in communicating with them. That's how I take it, at least. So no auto DMs for me. Don't flirt with me on Twitter. Don't flirt with anybody on Twitter. I mean, I have a bit of a flirtatious personality. I'll tell people they're pretty and gorgeous if I think it's true. But I know those people. I speak with them every day. I know that they're not going to take offense or anything like that. And it's not like overly crazy. But don't slip into someone's DM box and be like, hey, here's my peck. Love me. Not professional. It's just not cool anymore. I don't know how else to say it. Go on, Justine.
Okay, sorry. You brought up a point and it made me think of something. So I think one of the big problems where social media went crazy off the rails when it came to writers is that we had a lot of gurus in the early ages of social media marketing. Who told you, do this, do that. This is the way. This is the only way you're going to sell books on. And the truth of the matter is, people don't sell books on Twitter. It largely I've read a ton of different websites that speak to this, but people who test it out, those DMs, they're not happening. You build relationships on Twitter, then maybe you get your book sold. But you do not sell through auto DMs. You do not sell based on your tweets. It's the same for Facebook groups. Good old fashioned marketing, building connections, building groups of people who will speak about your book, word of mouth marketing. Those are the ways that books get sold. This does not work. And the problem is that you had tons of gurus in the early ages of social media who told you auto DMs, who told you constantly, post every so often on like blank number of times a day on Twitter, a retweet of your book link. Just do it like all day. Who told you to get those automatic retweeters? Which if you ever see the guy who follows you that has 75 retweets and you haven't seen a single freaking thing from him in ages, that's that thing. It's an automatic retweeter. They put in topics that they like and they want on their feed, and then it automatically retweets them. They find them in their following feed. When you do things like that, though, you're removing the sense of community from Twitter. And I don't want to follow you. I don't want to hear what you have to say because I never see a tweet from you. I always see tweets on a certain subject from like some other dude that you follow. So the bottom line is to consider social media as a community and don't listen to these marketing gurus who are telling you to hawk your book. Be a person that people can like or dislike, honestly, because it's going to happen. And when you're that person, people will want to look at what you do. But yeah, the moguls, not the moguls. That's not the word I'm thinking of. The gurus in the beginning age of social media marketing, really kind of screwed things up for people. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. So just be smart and do a lot of research before you start using something that might turn people off.
Oh,
Ari, I hear you.
No, I accidentally clicked my face, so it was only going to be on my face. So 2 points that you made about how the auto gurus, I'm going to call them, it doesn't work. At least from what I've been seeing, it's because people feel like it's spam. I mean, it does feel a lot like it's a generic, shallow string of spam that has somehow found its way into your inbox, and it just doesn't feel authentic. It makes you feel less of a real person, actually. Like, a lot of the time when I'm reading auto DMs, I don't think of you as, like, I think that maybe you're a spammer or, something like that. So I'm not going to reply anyways. The other thing is, the best way too, if you're really into marketing your work, because I know with, self-publishing, or even sometimes with indie publishing, you have to kind of do the self-promotion. Let the work speak for itself. Don't do it so often. Maybe share a couple lines or something. Let people see that you're an active part of the community. You're a real person, not just a spammer in the auto DMs. Because that, as Justine said, make it personal, connect with people, be a likable person. Although sometimes being unlikable works for some people. But being likable will help you bridge that gap in marketing, or just in general, just connect with people. That people want to read from people that they care about. At least that's how I feel. There's a reason why I always buy automatically authors that I love, and I read their interviews and all that stuff. It's because, they connect with their fan base. They talk with them like they're real people, and they make it personal. And, anyways, don't be jerks. Don't auto DM or send us peck pictures. Maria?
So just to piggyback off of that, I mean, I'm going to be very honest. My first time on Twitter, guess what Maria was sending? Auto DMs. Oh my God, I know. And if I have any followers out there who remember the early days of Maria, I was sending an auto DM. I had nothing to sell, nothing, but I did my research and found out that auto DMs are the way to go when you're on social media to network. All right, so let's call it what it is. It's BS. Now, the thing is, also, I would just like to say that the auto DM was very witty and people followed, and it was fabulous. However, because, I like the jokes. So when it comes to businesses in general, though, I have followed businesses in the past who did send auto DMs, but those auto DMs were relevant because I followed them for a reason. So it gave great information about their product and where I could find it, where I could leave reviews or see, read reviews. So it does work for businesses. It's just when we think about writing, and yes, there's this fine line between I'm writing for passion, I'm writing for love, and then it's a business. But the problem, as everyone else has said, is that readers need this personal connection. It's not just with your main character, which is a craft thing, but it's also with you as a person. Because let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, a writer is going to write their experiences into a book, their politics, their personality. So believe it or not, the way you present yourself on social media will determine whether or not somebody is going to say, you know what, I should check out their Amazon page or whatever it is. I have definitely bought books via Twitter, and it had nothing to do with auto DMs or retweets of links. It had everything to do with, as everyone else has said, building those relationships and talking to people. And there is one indie author out there right now who I have bought every single one of her books and became a critique partner for her, because that's the type of relationship we built. And the thing is, not one of us on this panel are extroverts. I like to think, well, Ari, yes, but you can people out, right? You can people out. I like to think of myself as an extroverted introvert, but there comes a point where I'm done with people. Like I've had it. I've had the people thing, and I like revert into my shell. So all of that to say that you don't have to be this larger than life personality on Twitter. And also you can definitely put on the cape of a persona and create that persona for yourself on Twitter, so that you can better engage with your followers. But it can be done. When I joined Twitter in October of 2016, I had 0 followers, 0. And now I have a pretty strong follow base. And, you know, a lot of the times I get questions about how did I do that? I just talk to people. I engage with them. So if somebody comments on, you know, something that I post, so long as the notifications aren't out of control, I will say something back, you know, I will engage with that person. And then there comes a point when I have a lot of notifications in a day. So I'm just going through and liking comments or going back to like comments that I missed. So you can do it. It can be done. You just have to be yourself, which rolls us into our next point, which is like being social and then follower counts. So, you know, when we talk about being social, again, it's about being yourself or being that person that you decide you want to be on social media, you know, becoming that persona. So, you know, we got to talk a little bit about brand. What's your brand going to be? So I see a lot of writers, a lot of people I follow have unfollowed also in the past, where it was retweets of their book links. It was constant DMs. Has everyone else been in these added to these weird group chats where it's like 50 people, like they just pick a ton of their followers and have this one group chat and it's a link for their book. You know, and you have to physically leave the conversation and everyone's like, why am I in this? Why was I tagged in this? So, you know, so I've seen plenty of people out there doing that. And then also using it as a social media platform insofar as they're treating it like their own personal social media, tweeting about politics, tweeting about, you know, I don't know, sexism or getting in on conversations that, and becoming aggressive and, you know, aggressive tweets. And which is fine if that's your brand. So you just have to bear that in mind. Don't censor yourself, but definitely stay true to your brand. So, you know, if your book is a rom-com lit chick lit, whatever, fun, fluffy book, and you're out there like aggressively tweeting about politics, I don't know what to expect out of that rom-com, you know? So that's my stance on that. And then follower counts. I'm going to rage a little bit. I've had a bit of a week and I apologize.
Do it, girl.
I really do apologize.
I just want a disclaimer. If you know you don't like rages or you have children in the room, have them vacate.
Yes, absolutely. I know. I promise I'll keep it. I'll keep it kosher. So I just want to clarify this right now. Platform, and by platform I mean a large follower count with a good ratio, only matters when you are writing nonfiction. It means that you are an expert in your field. And an agent will then look at that and be like, oh, they must know what they're talking about because so many people are following them. Okay. Now, it does not matter as much for regular fiction, like not nonfiction, regular fiction. I have been followed over the years by people just building their follower base. And I've noticed that they're like they're represented by agents. And they had like less than 200 followers. Like they weren't even on Twitter. Their agent told them it might be a good idea to get on Twitter though. You know, and they're represented by like big agents. And then you have people that have 500 and 600 followers. Guess what? They got signed. It doesn't matter. So let me just not rage. I'm going to woosah. All right. These follow trains annoy me. They annoy me so much because I feel like there are so many people out there who are worried now about how many people follow them. But when you are worried about having followers, you're not engaging with people. You're not talking to them. As I think it was Justine said earlier, you're a number. I'm not going to buy your book. You know, I'm more worried about whether you followed or unfollowed me than I am about, you know, my sanity, basically. I'm not concentrating on my writing. I'm working on building my platform. But like, you know, we're all struggling. We're all out here trying to get, you know, signed by an agent. We should be putting that energy, we should be focusing that energy into improving our craft and not worrying about it. So, you know, and yeah, it's easy for Maria to say that because, you know, look at, you know, I got followers. That's great. Fantastic. But that's years worth of engaging with people and networking with people. And I never once was on a follow train where, oh, if you like this, you know, follow everyone who likes this and follow everyone who retweets that. And like when I first started on Twitter, I used to see it all the time, these follow for follows. And it was like for, it was for video game streamers and Twitch, whatever that is. I don't know. Whatever Twitch is, you know, so.
It's a video game streaming platform. Thank you.
Perfect. And also it was actually synonymous with these like, I wouldn't say black market people, but they're definitely like underhanded companies who build these followers. They build and build and build these accounts with all of these followers, and then they sell those accounts to people like for real money. So that they can just buy these accounts, change the handle and everything, and all of a sudden you have built-in followers. So that doesn't help anybody when you're out there trying to get an agent, from the standpoint of these people aren't your readers. These are just people that are worried you're going to unfollow them because they're also trying to go out there and get an agent. So the point is being missed, basically, when it comes to followers. All right. So engage with your people. They'll stick around for longer, hopefully, and post some interesting stuff, even if it's pictures of grilled cheese sandwiches. Like, people like grilled cheese sandwiches. So give the people what they want. That's all I'm saying. All right, Justine. Sorry.
That was wonderful, Maria. Yes. Okay. So we privately rage about these writing follow trains. And I used to do them. So here's my rookie mistake, right? So back in the day when Facebook was my main platform for writing, which has shifted dramatically over the years, which we'll talk a little more about that later. But when I was mainly on Facebook, I used to like for liked on page counts. Now I have a Facebook page. I don't think any of you guys do. Any of the, does Maria, yeah, okay. So
I deleted mine.
I have one for my blog, but not for like me.
So I had a you know, Justine Manzano author page. I still have it. I still post on it with stuff, you know, but you know, less often than I tweet. But at the time it was my big thing. You know, I have 995 followers on Facebook, which for Facebook, I mean, on Twitter, I blow that out of the water, but for Facebook, it's huge. And I had 995 followers. Do you know how many people like my posts? 5? 7? Depends. Sometimes I'll post a really good meme and then, you know, on writing, and then I'll suddenly get a ton of people. These people are never going to read my book. There are other writers. They don't care. And so when I post something about writing, they're like, yes. And when I post something about my book, they hide my posts. I have noticed this a lot. I have noticed people also hiding all of my posts, which is a major, hey, what? Like, why? I didn't do anything. But they have it, that happens because they followed me, not because they wanted to hear what I had to say, but because I was following back. It doesn't matter how many people follow you. Have good things to say. Have people, you know, make friendships, make connections. It just really, I mean, so many people follow superficially and will never even read what you write. You know, it's a shame. I mean, even on the social media platform, not even just we'll read your books. I mean, there are people who will just scroll past your posts like it's nothing. That's what happens when you have a follower chain like that. You gain a whole ton of followers, and sometimes you connect with some of them, but you'll never connect with all the 100 people that were on your follow train. Like, it's just not how it works.
Real quick, and sometimes the people that you have the most engagement with are not people who are following you. I just have to say, like, a lot of times, especially on Twitter, most of the people who are like hopping on to my profile and having a really awesome conversation with them, and then I follow them because I'm like, hey, I like you. Most of them are not people who are following me, or that are in my follower group. So that's something to keep in mind. Just saying.
I'll jump in on this because I have a lot to say. So I'm going to echo Maria's point that in the academic market, that is really the only market where having a huge platform matters. I work for an academic publishing house. This literally goes through every editorial board meeting that we have. After the book is proposed, the first question is, what's their platform? And the reason for that is academic writing involves knowledge. It involves usually culminating facts in order to create a narrative or a history or, a textbook, whatever it's going to be. And without a platform to reaffirm that you know what you're talking about, the book starts to get questionable. And oftentimes what winds up happening if a platform is kind of mediocre, whether the author is introverted or just never really got into social media or whatever, there's usually the next step before a book is even approved is a social media plan. And that's just how it is for academic writing, and that's fine. For fiction, that doesn't matter so much. And the reason is because the story is fictional. There are plans for the book to sell independent of your social media. Social media can help. Like, I've definitely bought books because I've connected with the author on Twitter, or I really liked what they had to say, or, really anything. Like, I feel like I find most of my book news through Twitter, but that's just a personal thing of mine. But fiction, really, you can have 0 followers, you can have no Twitter. It really does. There are some New York Times bestselling authors who don't have a Twitter, and they're still selling. And that's just because the fiction market's really different. It's really about the content in a different way than a platform is. Also, Ari, I think you have it on your camera because it's still on your screen. I don't know if that's for anybody else or not, but just letting you know. Maybe it's just me. Okay, cool. So my other thing about social media is pretty much echoing what everybody's saying here, is that your follower count, it's so variant as to what it's actually doing for you. I've seen people who have over 100,000 followers, and then I'll go on their page, it's all retweets, it's all really on-brand links that are just like, okay, well, that's nice. And then it takes about 20 or 30 posts before I find something by this person. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not following you because you totally followed me back, or followed me because you wanted like this follow for follow thing. I joined Twitter like fairly late, so I think this follow train thing in the beginning I wasn't really a part of. A lot of my followers came from doing what Maria said and engaging. And like with engagement, you don't have to be over the top about it. You don't have to message someone, learn their entire life story. You can literally, they could post something, and even if you just say something like, hey, I really like this. This is a nice topic, or I really like how you worded that, or I don't know, maybe something like, oh, if they post I don't know, if they have a new house, and like, oh, cool, whatever, it's showing that you care about whatever they posted. And sometimes that turns into DMs, and sometimes that turns into a follow, and sometimes that turns into just constant conversation. And that's engagement. That's building a brand. And it's really easy to get stuck on numbers and be like, okay, I only had this percentage of this today, and I only gained 2 followers today, and I lost 10. I'm like, okay, you can play this math game all you want, and you're going to spin your head around. I think when I first joined Twitter, I did care a lot, or I didn't necessarily care a lot, but I focused on the numbers. But the more I started talking to people, the more people I met. I met Ari and Maria, which awesome people. We met at we went to a conference last year, pretty dope. I go to Book Expo as often as I can. And I met people from Twitter there, and like we took selfies and hung out and like got books together. And that's something that would have never happened if all I did was auto DM or not engage and all that stuff. And the thing with selling your book, it's like, you know, you want to obviously sell, but the thing with craft and creative writing, I feel like a lot of it also comes from the engagement that you give and the community that you offer and the personality that you offer, because that makes people want to buy your book and also are just interested in you. You know, there's back in the beginning we had like those, you know, author marketing gurus or whatever. You know, I feel like they didn't want you to post anything about your personal life. It had to be all business all the time. And you know what? I'm way more interested in authors who are posting their dog photos or what they ate for lunch or some really snappy tweet than I am if they're just retweeting their links to their book. So marketing is shifting. Social media is definitely shifting. And those old ideas that are kind of ingrained into you don't apply anymore. And that's all I have right now. I can go on forever, but we need a whole separate topic on marketing.
I know, absolutely. No, because it's definitely something, it might be something we might do in the future. But just to like piggyback off of Megan, Lee Bardugo posted a thread recently. It might not be about followers and auto DMs or social etiquette, but it was her breaking down this misconception because of how things are for her as a New York Times, multiple New York Times bestselling author. And it was basically like things are not easy for her. She was at a, like, it's not as easy as you think it is. Like there's this persona that, you know, this kind of a wall that gets put up once you're agented. And all of a sudden, you know, you're there, and then your book is like published and it's like, ooh, you've arrived. And, you know, all of a sudden it's smooth sailing. And she was just trying to break that down to like show people that it's not smooth sailing. So it's kind of like the same thing where like social media is shifting. I feel like now these big New York Times bestselling authors are trying to break down the door a little bit and be like, hey, it's not all rosy in the garden. And I'm going to not do the whole, you know, I'm this New York Times bestselling author, and, you know, my brand is my book, and, you know, all that. And like, she let us into her life. And it was just so, it was heartwarming for me, because I think as writers, we struggle every day. And that's why I personally am on Twitter, because I don't know any authors in real life. I don't know. I don't run into them on the street, you know. I mean, I do work with one now, which is amazing. We get to chit-chat at work all the time, which is great. But it's not something like my husband doesn't get it. His family doesn't get it. My family don't get it. It's a hobby. You know, so to meet like-minded people is incredible. So why would you waste that opportunity to talk to people who get you and just like retweet and just not talk about it? You know, I feel most creative types suffer creatively. We all get writer's block. Some people with very creative minds have mental health issues, and people with mental health issues that are very creative, you know, it's nice to connect with people that understand that person, who might have the same perspective you do about things. So for me, it is community. And, you know, as Megan said, things are changing, and I think we're going to see a huge shift in the coming years. Things are changing across the board in publishing. So, you know, we just have to be able to flow with it and roll with it and be able to adapt to that. So if you are one of these auto DMing, you know, not talking to people, worried about your following count, you know, shake it off a little bit, because, you know, it's just times are changing now, and we've got to roll with it. So, you know, and with that, one of the other, I won't call it a faux pas, because it's definitely something that people assume Twitter is all about, and that's hashtags. Because I know before I joined Twitter, you know, it was this big joke, oh, Facebook's better because you could actually, you know, type out a thing and, you know, post it up, and you didn't need your hashtags because it was very social, as opposed to, I feel like Twitter is a different type of beast. Like Instagram was Facebook's answer to Twitter. So hashtags, the do's and don'ts, how to pick them, how to use them. And definitely there's etiquette involved with that as well. You have to definitely understand the hashtag you're using. There are pages upon pages of websites out there that can break down a lot of the writing hashtags for you, what they mean, when you should post them, when you should attach them to your post. So Justine, why don't we start with you?
There is a Twitter user, free writing events, and she's amazing. She comes out there are Twitter games that people use to tweet a line of their work or something like that, or something about their character, or things along those lines that are really about your work and spreading the word about your work, but also interacting, seeing other people's work, getting interested in another person's story. They're a great way to build followers, to engage. I use them relatively often when I have a work in progress. Right now I'm sort of like, but normally I think they're a great way to meet new writers and to see what kind of work you're interested in other people on Twitter. So that's one option. She has, like, for every day there's a few Twitter games that you can follow. Another thing, we were just joking about this earlier, but spell your hashtags right, guys. I don't think I was supposed to say that out loud, was I?
Community. Community.
Right, guys. We're writers. You're not supposed to spell it community. It's not.
Or with 3 M's. How would you even sound out the community? The 3 M's. It drives up a wall, because then the one that's actually trending is the one that's spelled wrong.
And I'll put it down like this. I'm definitely not buying any books from a writer who does that. I cannot even.
Hashtag writing community.
Community. Hashtag. I saw one the other day that was hashtag I'm writing, but it was without the W. So I'm like, you're doing a ritual ceremony? You're writing? I don't know what's happening.
Am ritualing. That's the new one. Am ritualing from now on.
And ritualing.
I will happily get on board that, because I feel like writing is a ritual, man. Like, gotta get everything involved to get it to work.
I feel like I
New
need
hashtag
to
coming
explain
soon.
how this happens. So usually it happens when somebody misspells it, and then everyone starts using that exact misspelling that the original person did, and then Twitter goes, oh, this is trending! Everyone has to do this now! And then it becomes like the top selection when you start typing it out. And despite popular belief, it doesn't matter if it's lowercase or uppercase on Twitter. You can just write it out and everyone knows. But that's how it happens. So if you make that mistake, don't think, people will know what I'm saying. They won't. And Twitter won't either. They'll just run with it. And that's how this beast of 6 different misspellings for writing community happens. And yeah, that's what I was going to say on the issue. Maria, back to you.
Perfect. So when it comes to hashtagging, then let's talk about the do's and don'ts. So we know not to just automatically hit that return key, to just pre-populate the most popular hashtag. So other do's and don'ts, pick them wisely. Make sure that you're attaching the correct hashtag based off of what your content is about. So I see it all the time. Definitely. So, Ari has a hashtag, Wicked Aesthetics, which is where you post aesthetics of your, like a mood board of your, mood board collage, whatever, of your work in progress, attached to a theme for that week. And we've been seeing her hashtag on things that have nothing to do with, the game that, she invented. Actually, Ari, I saw it maybe a few weeks ago attached to a naughty post in a circle.
Last week too. Someone had attached it to like some erotica thing. And I'm like, but I mean, maybe it's because they see the word wicked. but I'm pretty vocal. Like, I don't know how many times I can put in caps aesthetic or collage or a picture. Like,
I know. But definitely
Well,
like that.
I mean, just because it was a naughty post doesn't mean it didn't have a picture, Ari.
well,
The one I
I have nothing to say.
I mean,
a picture, and it wasn't about writing. Yeah.
I actually saw it on a food advertisement over the weekend, and I was like, what the heck are they doing? Like, why is it on? It was like, I was like, Wendy's? It was a Wendy's the other day, or I don't know if it's like a real Wendy's or not, but like, I hope Wendy's is not putting villains in their burgers now.
I love it. So yeah, just to make sure, like, it's very tempting to just put a trending hashtag onto your tweet, because then more people will see it. So I understand that 100%. That's a way to reach more people. But just kind of make sure that it's the right thing. And I see it most often with newer people to Twitter. They don't understand, you know, what the games are. They just see that a lot of people are tweeting about like RevPit. You know, a lot of people are tweeting about RevPit right now. I've been seeing that hashtag attached to some very strange posts that have nothing to do with the contest. Or, you know, I've seen all kinds of stuff, to be honest with you.
Wait, just so we're clear, when can someone use RevPit? I think that might be a good way to address it. Is it only for the editors, or?
No, I mean, I'm not a spokesperson for the event. I'm just an editor participating in it. However, any post that has to do with RevPit. So if you are thinking about entering the contest, use the hashtag. There's lots of people out there cheering other people on who, like, they don't have manuscripts themselves to enter. They're using the RevPit hashtag. I saw it attached yesterday to somebody's Buy My Book link, actually, because it's something in the writing community that, like, people in the writing community are talking about right now. So they just use the hashtag. So long as it's relevant, so long as it's, I've seen a lot of people trying to get support groups together for the event, which is fantastic, because definitely, as we all know as writers, any of these types of events can be very stressful. So it's nice to have your community there waiting for you and ready for you. A lot of query swapping happening out there. Use the hashtag, no problem. So long as it's relevant. It's not just for editors. It's not something you can't use. You can use it. Just like, don't attach it to your, you know, Buy My Book link, I guess. You know, so things like that. Even when Pitch Wars happens, I see Pitch Wars attached to very strange things. Or Pit Mad also. People don't know what Pit Mad is. They just see it trending. Like on the days of Pit Mad, when Pit Mad is live, even DivPit, I see it attached to some very strange things, like businesses will use it just because it's trending on Twitter that day because of all the traffic. Obviously, when you've got 100,000 tweets on the same day, you know, it's crazy. So that's just something for the hashtags, definitely. So tagging. Shall I rage? I won't. I won't rage. It's fine. The only time I tag somebody is if something that I am tweeting about is relevant to them. So they're mostly people I know, or someone might have a question that I can't answer, and I will tag somebody I feel is an expert in that. They're generally, though, people that I do interact with. There's also times when I'm plugging somebody's work. It doesn't happen very often, so don't come at me with the DMs asking me to plug things. But for things like craft, you know, for novel writing, things like that, I do plug certain craft books that I feel are very, very important to read in order to hone your craft for your writing skills. But tagging in general, so I do get tagged in a lot of these hashtag FF things on Fridays. I think it's a follow Friday. And I don't mind it. Honestly, I don't mind being tagged in things, but I'll tell you right now, I'm muting the conversation immediately. And that's only because I already get 500 notifications a day. And I can't keep up. People commenting, and I'm attached to it all. So just for me personally, I prefer when if someone responds that I'm left. There's a way, I don't even know how to do it, but there is a way to untag somebody. or is that you can untag everyone and just talk to the person you're talking to. It's a little bit of work, I think, but
You gotta
yeah.
pretty much mute them.
Yeah, I figured as much. So I just mute those conversations. I apologize. You know, if anyone's wondering why I don't engage in any of those, I am sorry. But definitely I only tag people when something is relevant. Yeah, basically. And I do apologize about that, because I do pride myself on engaging with everyone on all of these posts as much as possible, so long as you're not like trolling me. But I just can't keep up with it, basically, and I might miss something that I need to see when I'm just, you know, there's just a bunch of nonsense happening in my feed. So I do apologize. But anyway, Justine, Megan, Ari, any other thoughts on hashtagging, do's, don'ts, and tagging?
I think tagging in moderation, or only people you really know, is probably the most important part. I sometimes engage in Follow Fridays, but it's usually to like shout out my love for like new writers that I've been engaging with recently, and I'm really enjoying speaking with them, or of course you guys, you know, all of my peeps. But from my perspective, from what I've personally read, you really shouldn't tag like everyone under the sun. Sometimes you'll have like giant tag threads, and the problem with that is it is overwhelming, because who you tagged is not only getting messages like when you're talking to them, but they're getting like everybody, every like, every retweet, every comment, every GIF, everything. And if you're like me, it's like, whoa, that's way too many. Goodbye. It's not that like I don't enjoy engaging, but I think it's important to kind of be aware that sometimes if you're tagging a lot of people, especially people that you may not know as well, there's a lot of interaction going on, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. Also, tagging authors. That can be, sometimes I see authors being tagged in things to like an almost spammy point. I don't know what everyone else's take on this is. I occasionally tag authors if I really want to boost their book. Like, I love this book. I think it's great. It's an author that I've either interacted with before, or someone that I really feel needs, you know, more exposure because I love their freaking book, you know? But other times I may not tag them just because I feel like they're more popular and they probably get a million tags anyway. So I think I hear someone's microphone. Megan, you can go ahead. But just try not to over tag, I guess. Megan.
Yeah, sorry, those are my neighbors upstairs. Yeah, so I just want to like piggyback off the other thing, because I feel like this gets circulated back around, and I'll keep it brief so Maria can go, because I know Maria is like super ready. So here's like a general rule of thumb. I'm just gonna make it summarized. One, if you love an author's book and you want to talk about it and say like, hey, it changed your life, it was amazing, or like everyone should read it, tag them. Most authors don't mind. If I follow an author, like some authors do publicly say like, hey, don't tag me, or like I won't look at it. And if you find that, because like, I mean, you can't always find that, like your feed is moving, things are happening, it's fine. Then I respect that and I won't tag them. But generally, most authors are totally down for that encouraging feedback, or just, you know, I liked it, you should read it, like totally fine. If you review a book of an author and it's positive, you can also tag them, but only if it is positive. If you are tagging an author to say their book is crap, or you have constructive criticism that basically berates the book, or if you're attacking them in any way for writing their book, you shouldn't do it.
And I will come and kick your butt.
Right, because just think about it. You wrote this book. It's something that you've put a lot of work in and you've enjoyed, and you've, you know, for some writers put like, you know, years into this, and it is in multiple stages of where it came from. And then suddenly this person is just like, hey, your book sucked, I hate it, here's like a big list of why I hated it. That's just not helping anybody. Like, it's kind of just shouting into the void and waiting for someone to hear you, and it's kind of it's drawing attention to yourself, okay? And like, you know, if you want to critique an author's book, particularly if it's problematic in some way, or there's just something you didn't like about it, or you want to like, you know, just be like, hey, this book wasn't for me, you can totally post that and just not tag the author. And that's a thing you can do. There's a feature called not adding someone. And guess what? They won't appear. It's amazing. Okay, this bothers me, and it bothers a lot of my friends, and I'll come for you. But yeah, so that's definitely another etiquette. If you're trying to boost a book, tag them. It's fine. If you're a blogger and maybe you have like a list of like, hey, like 5 books you should read for March, fine. There's basically the general rule of thumb of don't be rude and condescending, and you can most likely tag an author. For bigger authors, you know, I understand not wanting to tag them just because they probably have a lot going on all the time. I think just basically be respectful, understand that they're human and they don't want to be reading a bunch of terrible things about themselves or their book or whatever, and just use your best judgment. And that's really the etiquette for tagging authors.
I was just going to say everything that Megan just said, actually.
Sorry.
That's what I had my hand up for. I was like, listen. And also just another small little tidbit piece, just because, you know, we're talking about this and we've only 5 minutes, so I'm not gonna overdo it. But if you have a serious problem with somebody's book or arc, it might be a good idea to try and contact that author directly, as opposed to blasting that on social media, and maybe even contact their agent if you feel like you're getting no response from the author themselves. Use social media as a last resort. Okay, all right, that's it. Sorry, Ari.
All I was going to say is if you have an inkling that it may not be appropriate or appreciated or in any way well received, it probably won't be. And you probably shouldn't do it. If you feel like you're tagging too many people or using a million hashtags, you probably are, and you probably shouldn't. And I don't think we talked about whether or not, you know, the whole tagging of agents and editors and things like that. I feel like that, I don't know, there's like a big consensus on that. But overall, just Twitter is, you know, that particular platform is a community. A lot of people do view it like that. So just approach it like that. Don't spam people with tags and hashtags. And just, to be honest, the more you throw links and hashtags and tags on there, the more lost it kind of gets in the feed. And it does just feel overall more impersonal. And just understand that we're all humans, even writers, and we have other sides of ourselves that aren't writers. So totally blast your cute doggy pics, Megan, or or, you know, talk about your kids, or like go on an adventure and like post about that. People want to know more. They're interested in more aspects of who you are other than just your writing or your link to your latest book. You know, they're interested in you as a person, and that is a fact. Science has shown this. So just don't spam us, okay? Spam anybody. Friends don't let friends spam. Just saying.
So just before we get going, because I see that we're running out of time, I did want to talk a little about not overdoing platforms, different social media platforms, because I feel like I have be ready for my insane list of social media platforms. I have a Facebook author page. I have my personal. We have the Twitter, my personal Twitter. We have the CraftQuest Twitter. I have an Instagram for me. I have an Instagram for my family's geek activities. I have a Tumblr account and a Pinterest account and a Goodreads account. And it's insane. And I don't keep them all as up to date as the other ones. Goodreads has virtually died. I mean, I cross-post my reviews there when I do a book review, but I don't usually. And so it pretty much just languishes there when I'm not on it. The rest of the stuff I keep relatively up to date, but it's crazy town and it's hard to stay on everything all at once. So my advice to you is to do not do as I do, because you will drive yourself batshit crazy, and try to find. And you know, to be fair, I built these slowly. So I had a Facebook and a Twitter for a very long time, and then I got the other ones slowly but surely. But the best idea is to throw yourself into one, and Twitter is, I think, the most popular one for writing, and invest yourself completely in that one until you build a little bit of a following. And then branch out. Don't go too crazy trying to do everything all at once, because you can't maintain it all at once. And also, it gets boring to see, if you get certain people that follow you and then follow you on everything, it gets boring to see the same thing on every social media platform you have all at the same time. Because they're just me like, I saw that on this. I saw that on that. I already saw this on Instagram. I don't need to see this again. So just, you know, come to think of it, that may be why my Facebook gets unviewed or hidden some days. But you know, that's the reality of it. So just, you know, don't drive yourself crazy building a gazillion platforms. Get something that works for you too, because Twitter is as much about building a platform as it is for finding your community and finding people who really, you know, will matter and will help you in your writing and your craft building and all of that. So make sure that you are using something that works for you as much as you work for it. And it is 6, and I am talking too much. So moving on.
No worries. And actually, just before we wrap up, I would like to say, know your audience too. That's a determining factor in deciding which platform you're going to use. Like what I mean by platform here is social media platform. So for example, if you're a YA writer, your audience is probably not on Facebook, because that's so like 2005. So they're probably not on there. If you're an adult historical fiction writer, though, there's probably tons of groups on Facebook. So you've got to decide where your audience is also, and where you're going to get the most amount of most bang for your buck. And also, tagging agents and editors. Somebody just said it. It is, for me, the internet version of going to a writer's conference and following an agent into a bathroom and pitching to them while they're trying to pee. I'm just saying. I'm putting it down like that.
You put it down like that.
I'm putting it down like that. That's right. I'm gangster today. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, so
I was just gonna like slip this in there real quick. Also understanding that certain platforms actually built in a specific way for certain kinds of materials. Like Tumblr is really big on visual. I see like people actually writing stuff on there too, but they tend to have lots of pictures and everything like that. So it's highly expressive. So they're different. I mean, you could totally make it work as a writer on Tumblr. You just have to understand that maybe the particular way that platform functions, you might have to learn that method of social mediaing.
If I'm being real, my Tumblr is all geek crap.
Your Tumblr has a lot of retumbles. Not that I've looked.
Oh, retumbles. I mean, I just love my geek stuff, and
I tend to retumble a lot of illustrators who kind of dominate Tumblr currently, and a lot of like just fan fiction and kind of stuff like that. So I guess it's find creative ways to reach your audience. Like Maria said, don't just like auto blast the same. I mean, I used to do this, but I've been straying away from it, because then every website looks the same no matter which one you go on. And if you have people following multiple, it gets kind of boring. So maybe if you're blasting, about your current whip, you could be more visual on Tumblr, but then, share snippets on Twitter or, on the same day. It doesn't all have to be the same content. Sorry. Okay, we're done now.
You're good. So this is our TED Talk on social media etiquette. We will return next month for Diversity 2.0, date to be decided. We're very excited about this one. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it as always. We can all be found on Twitter Our links will be below, and this video will be archived so that if you want to share it with other people that might not have been able to watch it live, by all means do that. Share it on Twitter. Hit subscribe below and make sure that you're in the know for the next CraftQuest debate. No.
Conversation.
Sure. Wait.
Discussion.
For the next time. Yes, no, absolutely. And you know, we're all in this together, so we're also a part of your community. So feel free to reach out to us via Twitter as well. And of course our website, www.craftquest.org. And just give us a follow or something. But don't be weird about it. And don't be coming in my DMs.
Don't be sending us pictures or links.
No pecs pictures, right?
Pictures. I'm getting all the below the belt pictures. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Maria has a collection of princes that follows her. So
I do. I'll have you know. I have a whole harem of princes.
The only one I ever had was a fake Prince Harry.
I had that one.
He did. I reported him because I'm like, they're not allowed to have social media. Boop.
Hilarious.
All right.
Hilarious. I love it. So thanks again for joining us, guys. Retweet this with appropriate hashtags.
Well, we can't forget to mention, and keep your eyes peeled this month for our Spilled Ink videos. We haven't picked one yet. We're kind of going through everything, but just keep your eyes peeled for those episodes. We're going to be doing about 2 per month, I think. So, yeah.
Excellent. So thanks for joining us for the 3rd time. Appreciate y'all. And Justine has something else.
Sorry. Our monthly Inkwell lottery is the cutoff for it is April 1st. So if go on our Twitter, and our pinned tweet right now is how to enter. Free 3-chapter critique by 3 of our editors. So it's a lottery. It's completely random, so it's not like we're gonna pick you if you're behave well on Twitter. We're just gonna run a lottery, but one author will win that. So throw your hat in the ring. Maybe it'll be you.
Excellent. Until next month, CraftQuesters. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.